The first question is, what are my legal rights as an employee? And at the heart of it, you have very, very few legal rights as an employee. American Worker starts out with the doctrine of employment at will. And that's a legal concept that originated in Great Britain and England in the Middle Ages, comes to us through North Carolina. Tennessee used to be a part of North Carolina, and we inherited their common law, and North Carolina inherited England's common law. So I always say, think lords and serfs. That's where the American worker starts. American worker doesn't have any rights that a contract, a legislature, the Congress, or the courts have given to that worker. And it's a legal concept that existed very naturally with the concept of slavery, which was also legal in Tennessee for much of its history. So that's really the mind frame that you've got to get into, because frequently a lot of workers will call us because something really terrible has happened to them. It's very unfair. It's very arbitrary. But unless you fall into a exception to the employment at will doctrine, and we'll talk about that kind of as we go through these questions and later, then you're really kind of out of luck. And we talk to a lot of people who just what's happened to them was unfair. What happened to them was bad business. It was arbitrary, but it just wasn't illegal. As I say, there's nothing illegal about being a jerk, and there's nothing illegal about having favorites or moving people out because you want to bring your own people in, as long as you're not doing it in such a way that you are discriminating against someone because of their inclusion in a protected class, like their age, their race, their color, their gender, their national origin, their religion, that sort of thing, or because they engaged in protected activity. And protected activity would be, particularly in Tennessee, what we call whistleblowing, which is refusing to remain silent about an illegal activity or participate in an illegal activity. And that can be OSHA violations. It can be other statutory or regulatory violations, et cetera. There's also a lot of other protected activities, such as participating in jury service and using your Family Medical Leave Act and other federal benefits where you can't be retaliated against for using those benefits. And there's a host of them. But in those rights, I'm going to say those protections, because if you, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I always think of rights as constitutionally protected rights. These are protections that are really at the whim of the legislature and the Congress. And depending upon who is the party in power, those protections can be expanded or contracted. And that has happened over the last 100 or so years. This really started at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, and had continued up to the present day. But that's really how old, or how young, I should say, employee rights, employee protections are. It doesn't go back very far from that.